All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. Hello, everyone. My name is Jess Larkin, and I'm the Marketing and Communication Specialist at Cornerstone. I'm your host for the Build Your Brand series and your go-to gal for all of your marketing questions. I want to help you build a brand that's focused on growth. I'm here today with a hot cup of coffee because I was working on this webinar late into the night last night, hoping to get all of the information in here that we possibly can, because we're going to be talking about social media yet again. But we're going to talk a little bit about how the landscape has changed in 2023, because boy, oh boy, has it. And we're also going to talk a little bit about our own social media use and our own preferences. I'm going to do my best to keep it kind of casual today because I'd like for part of this webinar to be kind of a discussion on social media. It's been a while since I've really polled our brokers, polled you guys on how you feel about social media. So I want to get a good understanding of where you guys are at, your comfort levels, how you use it as an actual user, et cetera, et cetera. So before we jump into everything, we're going to go through a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can type them into the chat box and I will get to them at the end of the presentation. My information is right there on the screen if you'd like to get in contact with me. Also be sure to give us a follow on social media. We post industry and Cornerstone updates and information, so you can go to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube to give us a follow. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So my mom likes to watch long haul truckers on TikTok. Let me explain. My mom is someone who has a TikTok and will send videos to me. She goes to YouTube if she needs an answer for something. She posts to Facebook, and she generally embraces social media in her daily life, both for entertainment and also sometimes for educational purposes. It's a little out of character for someone her age, so I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and learn more about her social media habits and preferences. While I was on vacation a few weeks ago, I asked my mom what she thought of social media. I asked her what got her on TikTok in the first place, what content she likes to watch, what content she avoids, and how she feels generally about social media as it evolves. And her answers were a little bit surprising. In case you're wondering what my mom watches on TikTok, like I said, it's a lot of long haul truckers, comedy videos, cleaning videos, financial advisor, content creators, things like that. But I gotta tell you, she loves a good video about a long haul trucker. She kept bringing it up. She told me that a lot of her interest in TikTok and other social media platforms was her way of staying on top of the trends. She didn't want to fall behind with technology, and she had a genuine interest in what all the fuss was about with social media. She wants to stay connected and informed and on top of all those trends so she can communicate with my cousins and with my nephews. And she embraces social media as a new means of communication. Then I dig a little deeper, probably asked her a bit of a boring question for her, but I was genuinely interested. I asked her what she would think of her health insurance agent being on social media, and she had some interesting thoughts. She said she doesn't care about the cost of health insurance, and she doesn't want to hear tips and tricks about saving money. When it comes to the cost of health insurance, she said it is what it is. What she really cares about is the education that she can get from professionals in the industry who are tasked with helping consumers understand and use their health insurance properly. She wants to be in the know, and she wants to understand how legislative decisions may affect her, and even how Medicare works so she can help her parents understand their coverage and prepare for her own future. She told me that health insurance is impossible to understand, and she needs somebody to boil it down for her so she can take full advantage of it and get her money's worth. The cost wasn't the issue, the education was. And that's the crux of what is most important for businesses like yours on social media these days: education and expertise. Social media empowers its users by providing a one-stop shop to learn through entertainment about more complex topics like health insurance. If it's not clear enough by my mom's obsession with the long haul truckers, social media platforms and trends are constantly in flux, and it can be really hard to keep up. What worked on social media just a year ago may not work now. Especially when it comes to health insurance, it's important to consider your platforms, your content, and even your brand personality on social media. I have even removed some of my old social media webinars from the website because the expectations and trends on social media have changed that much. And even just the last couple of years, that it's basically rendered those webinars almost useless, which is actually crazy. I know we're tired of hearing about it, but the COVID-19 pandemic truly did change the way that we communicate digitally, and it continues to change quicker than ever before. The world of social media has become far more complicated and nuanced over the years, but it's also far more powerful and as a result necessary for communicating with your clients. And we're going to talk about why. First, we're going to talk about why you should care about social media, even if you don't use it yourself. Now, social media is not for everyone, and that's understandable. Even as someone who actively engages with the social scene as a marketing professional, I myself am not really as active as a user. I have the few platforms I stick to, but I'm not really someone who enjoys posting and spending my life online, sharing my life online. However, like it or not, social media is here to stay, and it's made a permanent impact on the way society communicates, especially with the younger generations who may communicate exclusively through their social media platforms. And before I continue, I just want to get some answers in the chat. Where are you at with social media? Do you think it's necessary? Are you looking to be convinced to get social media for your business, or are you just looking for more how-tos? I'm genuinely curious if you could answer that in the chat. Where are you with social media as a business owner or as a user? According to HubSpot, 36% of Gen Z and 22% of millennials prefer to search for brands on social media more often than through search engines. Even older generations have incorporated social media into their daily means of communication. Gen X adopted social media right alongside millennials, and their usage isn't slowing down. According to the Harris poll, which is on behalf of Sprout Social, which surveyed over 1,000 US consumers to understand how they use social media today, 52% of respondents in Gen X say their social media use has increased over the past year, and 29% believe it'll continue to rise over the next 3 years. Even baby boomers who were skeptical of social media at its conception have joined the landscape eventually. According to the same poll, after months of separation and social distancing, that's starting to change. 37% of baby boomers have increased their social media use over the past year, and 16% expect their usage to continue to increase over the next 3 years. All right, we did get one answer for my question about your thought process with social media. And the answer was there's nothing buzzworthy about insurance. It's difficult to find topics to post that people care about. Hopefully, I will be able to change your mind today. Ideally, if not, I'd love for you to give me a call and we can chat about strategy. That's something I'm more than happy to do for anybody on the call who maybe is feeling a little stuck with their own social media or marketing. So hopefully what we cover today will give you some ideas here. Social media has also made a pretty substantial impact on the way businesses market their services and products, and it's mostly for the better. Here are a few ways in which social media can positively impact your business. And yes, I am kind of trying to sell you on it because it's such a big thing nowadays. Social media is a cost-effective way to grow your client base and engage with your community. It's totally and completely free to join social media. And that's the kicker for you small business owners out there. It's free. We love free marketing. We're all feeling the pain of dwindling financial resources and leaner budgets these days. So social media is a great option for agents who may not have the budget for larger advertising campaigns. And it can even be more effective based on the time and effort that you put into it. Social media also helps health insurance become more accessible and understandable for your clients, which helps you establish yourself as an expert in the industry. And of course, we'll go over that a little bit more later when we talk about content. And lastly, there are a number of paid advertising options that are based on algorithms specifically designed to reach and engage audiences. So if you're interested in social media advertising, that is always an option as well. Those systems are becoming more and more nuanced over the years and more capable of reaching a wider audience. I will say that my social media advertising experience is somewhat limited to just LinkedIn and Facebook, but as Facebook, their advertising system has gotten a little bit cleaner over the years, so you do reach a few more people than you might have in the past, and those systems are always getting a little bit more a little smarter. So even if you don't use social media as a user, it is beneficial to use it as a business owner. Even if it's something that you just put on in the background, having a presence on social media is a good start. But unfortunately, this road does not come without its challenges. It seems like a new social media app is popping up from the ground every single day. Most recently, we were introduced to Threads, which is a direct and legitimate competitor of Twitter, which has come under a lot of scrutiny since it was acquired by Elon Musk in 2022, which led many to abandon the platform altogether. It's a whole thing. I personally use Threads, and I do personally prefer it over Twitter. Um, but which platforms are actually worth your time as a health insurance agent and which are not? We're going to walk through each platform together and discuss their advantages and disadvantages. But first, I have a poll question for you all. Yeah, y'all didn't know that there was going to be homework, and it's not even a CE class, so I do apologize for this, but I am going to put a quick poll on there. If you could all answer that poll. What is your favorite social media platform as a user, not as a business owner, just as a user? So for me, I tend to lean more towards Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Actually, I enjoy watching people play games on Twitch, which is really strange to some people when I tell them that they don't understand why I like to watch somebody else play video games, but I truly do. Instagram is definitely where most of my friends are, and I tend to interact with businesses on there. And YouTube is definitely my form of entertainment. It kind of is right up there with like a Netflix, you know. I tend to watch my favorite creators on there, and they have longer form content, so it's kind of like watching a TV show at this point. All right, we got some answers on the poll. Oh, I'm quite surprised. No surprise that Facebook is at the top here at 55%, but we got Instagram following next at 18%. Dang, I'm very surprised by that answer. And then 9% for LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. They are all tied. And some of y'all are on TikTok. That's so cool. I'm not even on TikTok. I'm too afraid. I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok. I know how to do it for a business, but as far as a user, I get a little concerned that I'm going to get stuck in the loop. All right, thank you for doing that poll for me. Help me get a better understanding of you guys. We're going to go through a list of each social media platform, and I'm going to provide my recommendations on whether or not the platform is worth it. And here's a quick tip. There's a lot of platforms out there, and they all have their advantages and their disadvantages. But if you want your business to be successful on any of these platforms, I highly recommend only engaging with the platforms that you're genuinely interested in. This is going to help you stay on top of your content creation and will make the process a lot more enjoyable for you. So number one, we have Facebook, and we got 55% of you who like Facebook the most. So I'd say it's pretty worth it. Usually for the content types, we're looking at written content, live or recorded video, photos, link sharing, etc. You guys know the deal. Facebook is a great way to reach your clients and share information and visual content. Couple advantages. It still leads the charge as one of the most used social media platforms, especially with the older generations, but yeah, my generation also uses it very frequently as well. It's very helpful for building community. It's easy to use. It's a very simple platform that has user friendliness in mind so that it's accessible for all ages. So that's definitely a huge plus. And it's very useful for reaching an older demographic. If you're a broker who maybe focuses more in the Medicare space, this is a good option for you. Couple disadvantages. It does require some engagement with your followers. You do want to comment back. You do want to post things that they recommend. Some younger generations are also abandoning the platform because it can get a little bit brutal out there, and people don't always want to see that on their timelines, especially during the presidential campaigns. It can get a little brutal, and people can get tired of looking at that stuff. So it does have its disadvantages for sure. But overall, I definitely say it's worth it as a business owner for you to use Facebook. Next up, we've got LinkedIn. Again, we've got worth it. However, this comes with a small caveat. This is only helpful for B2B engagement. So you employee benefits brokers out there, this is a great opportunity for you. If you're in individual slash Medicare, maybe not. I can maybe see Medicare because you might have folks who have retired who were on LinkedIn or are currently still on LinkedIn. But I wouldn't say that you're going to get as much as an employee benefits broker will. Content types, again, we kind of know the drill on this one. We're looking at informational, entertaining, and motivational content, which is either by video or written, and engagement, of course, with other businesses. This is also, I note down in the advantages, it's a great way for finding new hires as well if you have an agency that you're trying to build up. Most employees and business owners across all industries, including influencers and decision makers, are on LinkedIn. So you have a pretty captive audience there. So that makes it nice for B2B. And it's easy to use and engage with if you're unfamiliar with social media. Again, like Facebook, it's very user friendly. So if you're unfamiliar with social media, LinkedIn is indeed a good start. And like I said, it's great for finding new hires. And some disadvantages, it's not at all useful if you're working with B2C. It has a much smaller audience. And again, it does require engagement with your followers. I would say even more so on LinkedIn than on Facebook, because the name of the game on LinkedIn is basically digital networking. So engagement is extremely important. So LinkedIn, worth it. Next up, we have YouTube. And my thought process on this has changed a little bit over the years, and I have decided that YouTube is absolutely worth it. We're looking at content types of short form or long form edited and produced video. That's usually entertaining or educational, a little bit of both is the ideal here. The advantages are that the content can be used across the board. So you can use the content on your website, your other social media, etc. It is the second largest search engine after Google with about 2 billion monthly users, excuse me. That is insane. I did not know about that statistic until I was doing research for this webinar. And the good news, and this is something that we just answered a question for, health insurance content is untapped, which means it could feel like that could be a negative. But for me, what that says is that your content is going to stand out more. And it'll help boost traffic to your website because YouTube and Google are inextricably linked. So YouTube is a good way to go if you're trying to improve your SEO. Most social media is, but YouTube especially. Disadvantages, you do need to have decent video production and editing skills, or at least have somebody that you know who can help you with those things, because you do want to produce some decent content for this. You don't just want to record something on your iPhone and send it out there. That used to fly. It does kind of get lost in the noise these days. So YouTube, absolutely worth it. All right, Instagram. We're adding a little shrug on this one. Might be worth it, who knows? Instagram is extremely untapped as far as health insurance goes. For content types, we're looking at short form video or some photos. Usually there's some sort of like small description under each. You can do your live stories, things like that. The advantages, there's more than 1 billion monthly active users, most of whom are about 34 years old or younger. So if you're looking to hit the younger demographics, this is a good option. Although I will say, I do think that more and more of the older demographics are getting more interested in Instagram. It's also a platform that integrates with Facebook, Threads, and Twitter. So something that you share on Instagram, you can also share on Facebook, Threads, and Twitter. And health insurance content, like I said, is untapped, so your content might stand out more. Again, the disadvantages that you do need to have some decent photography or video or graphic design skills. You do not want to just post stock photos. Your audience can tell. The same stock photos are used all over the internet. They know when you went that route. So you do kind of want to have decent skills to make sure that you're putting out decent content. TikTok might be worth it. I am surprised. I'm just as surprised as you are with this. There are a couple of reasons that I say that. First, let's talk about the content types. The content types are short from video, of course. Usually it's pretty exclusive to entertaining, funny, or informative content. The advantages are that more than 1 billion active users are on TikTok across the globe. That's insane. That's a huge swath of people. Again, health insurance content is basically untapped, so your content's going to stand out more. And it only requires very basic video production and editing skills. If you know how to hold a phone in front of your face and then upload it somewhere, you can probably make a TikTok. The disadvantages, there's more competition for views, so there's a lot of noise on TikTok, and because it's short form content, people tend to watch something and basically forget it right away. So you will need to lean into the content creation and kind of look at the stats and see what is performing well, why things are performing. However, if you are willing to go that route, it could be worth it. Then we're going to move into my 2023 not worth it list. Now, these are not worth it for users. I think these are very fun social media apps. But as far as for health insurance agents, I don't see a lot of advantages for these. So I don't necessarily recommend that you spend a lot of your time on here. Threads, like I said, is a direct competitor of Twitter now. It's new, so your business will be seen as on top of it. And it also integrates with Instagram if that's something that you're interested in. But the disadvantages, again, it's new, so there are going to be a lot fewer users than on other platforms. I think Threads, if you do want to jump on there to kind of be part of the action from the get-go, I think that's fine. But putting your full focus on it it's not quite there yet. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure where I see Threads going. I'm not sure that I see it being a major platform like TikTok has been or like Instagram has been in the past. I do think it's a great one, and a lot of people really enjoy it more than TikTok, but it's a little too early to tell, I think. Next up, we have Twitter, where you can post some concise information, which integrates also with Instagram and Facebook. Again, very helpful. But the disadvantage is that many users have abandoned the platform. You only have a limit of 280 characters, which if you can explain health insurance in 280 characters, please call me. I would love to have help with my copywriting because that is difficult. And honestly, it's not as useful for health insurance agents. People aren't interested in following their agents on Twitter. Usually they want to follow politicians or comedians, people like that, not usually edutainment creators, which we'll talk about edutainment in a second. And then last but not least, we have Snapchat. I also don't think that's very worth it. It's for a younger audience and may have replaced texting for a lot of that audience, which is kind of interesting. Disadvantages, there's not much ROI with this platform as an agent. But you know, you could give it a try. Like I said, I'm not trying to keep you guys from trying anything. I think you can. If you have an interest in trying to get into the Snapchat game, go ahead and try it. Why not try it? Your audience is going to differ from everybody else's audience. So these are not, don't do these lists. This is just the, I don't think it's going to be worth your time list. All right. And I'm interested in the comments if you guys want to write if you disagree with me on any of the ones on my list. Let's get a conversation going here if you disagree with any of these. Now that we know which platforms are worth our time, let's talk about content. Content is all that we see these days, and boy, do we see a lot of it. With so much content being released on a minute-by-minute basis each day, it's really hard to stand out among the noise. So how can you tailor your content so that it's seen and, more importantly, engaged with in 2023? As a health insurance agent, you are most often marketing to an audience ages 26 and up. That's a very wide range, so you have to make content that suits everyone. If you're an employee benefits agent, you add in the nuance of having to do B2B marketing, which complicates your content even further. So what do you even do in that situation? Well, the content that you create is going to depend on a few different factors, but most importantly, the social media platform that you are using. And every generation has their own preferences for social media platforms that they actually want to engage in. Older generations may prefer platforms like Facebook, while younger generations may prefer content on TikTok. And as we talked about, each platform has favorite content that best aligns with their algorithms, but it also comes down to your specific audience. While you can make your best determination based on statistics and data about social media use, your evidence only needs to be empirical. What does your audience like and what are they responding to? But when looking at a broader audience and the state of social media as a whole, some content does generally perform better than others. And for 2023, most social media users have generally favored short form video content, like what you would find on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. The Sprout Social Index on social media trends reports that more than 54% of marketers say that video is the most valuable content type for achieving social media marketing goals, and half of social media users prefer video over other types of content. No matter your audience, the same advice rings true with your content. On social media, your goal is not sales. Your goal is engagement, and that engagement is going to look different depending on who you are looking to target and which platform you are using. It's also very important to note that social media users are far more skeptical now than they ever have been. In other words, they can sniff out the BS. In this age of misinformation, users now require resources, receipts, proof. They want to know that the info that they're given is factual and mainly unbiased. Because of the healthy skepticism that we've gotten over the years, brands and creators have responded in kind by providing their resources and descriptions or posts, or maybe just verbally through their video. So be sure to stick to the facts so that you can actually support. Next, we're going to talk about the content ideas for some people in specific lines of businesses. So we need to put some actual focus into our content if we're going to go onto social media, and we need to answer the question, why should I care? And you were saying, one of the audience was saying, there's nothing buzzworthy about insurance. It can be. It really can be. You need to answer that question, why should I care? And you want to keep it casual, you want to keep it entertaining, and you want to keep it approachable. Your audience is more focused on trust and education, not the cost. They actively want to learn about health insurance because they don't understand it. They don't get it. They want somebody to boil it down for them. So even the most basic things can be good content for your audience. So I have a couple of content ideas here. So we'll start with individual and family. A day in the life of a health insurance short. What does an average day look like for you? People eat that stuff up. I know that I do. I mean, my mom is watching Long Haul Truckers. Anything goes. What's a day in the life of a health insurance agent look like? Because let's think about it. Your audience might be very, very skeptical of health insurance agents because health insurance itself is a little bit sketchy, or it can be. It can be seen that way. People might think of you guys as sort of like car salesman-y type guys who just are out to make a dollar. That's not necessarily true. You do want them to be empowered consumers. You want them to have the education that they need to be to make good choices with their health insurance. So what is it that you actually do every day? Are you just twirling your mustache waiting so that you can find another client to make some money off of? No, you're actively helping your clients. What does that look like for you? Next, another idea is the 5 things you need to consider before you decide on your plan. A lot of people don't know what to think about. A lot of people just look at the cost of the plan and go, I don't know, that seems like it's cheaper and I don't know what else to think about when it comes to this stuff. What are 5 things that you can boil down for your audience to let them know they need to think about before they decide on something? Another idea is how any new legislation will affect health insurance costs and why that matters, or affect health insurance effectiveness. In this case, cost is kind of a good content topic. Cost would not be good of like, here are 5 ways you can save money on your health insurance plan. That's not really going to get you anywhere. But talking about new legislation is going to be buzzworthy. It's going to be a trending topic because people are going to be up in arms about it, or they're going to have their own feelings about it. That's where you can jump in and you can provide your opinion, your 2 cents on what that means for health insurance and what it means for your own clients. For employee benefits, you could do a little story time video on a client success story, focusing on the client and their situation, how finding a health insurance plan was really, really difficult for them, and maybe add a little bit of personal juice in there. Maybe had a nice conversation with somebody, talk about somebody who had some success through working with you. Another idea for employee benefits is to use the services that are offered by your clients and post a pic of yourself with them to show that your services are give and take. Does your client own a pizza shop? You can take your family there and make sure to get a good high quality picture of yourself with the owner. Use the services that your clients are offering and make it a give and take with your partnership. The most important thing to remember when creating content for your social media is to make it informative, sure, but also make it fun. At the end of the day, social media is a way for users to connect and find entertainment on their own terms. This is their downtime. How do you convince them that what you're saying is worth their time? And we're going to get a little bit more into that by talking about the trends that you should care about. And boy, are there a lot of them. There have been a few over the years that stand out. We're talking about the Harlem Shake, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, the dreaded Tide Pod escapade. Right now, a fun trend going around is basically talking about the Barbie movie and incorporating that aesthetic into your content, which is a really brilliant marketing move by the studio that produced the movie. So very, very impressive. I see that stuff everywhere right now. And I gotta tell you, I do want to see the Barbie movie. These kind of trends can be fun to include on your page to show that you're staying up to date. But the trends that truly matter are the trends that impact the social media landscape as a whole, especially when your audience varies in age. And right now that trend is edutainment. And you heard that correct, edutainment. What is edutainment? As a health insurance agent, this is your keyword for the day. Creators have found enormous success in creating educational content for their specialty. So doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, tech experts, teachers, and even more have found success in releasing their educational content, especially when it's entertaining as well. Heck, even my mom is watching, again, long haul truckers on TikTok. Anything goes at this point. So let's talk about a few edutainment creators and why they are so successful on their chosen platforms. And I have a few clips of some of their content as well that might help you gain a better understanding of why their content works. I don't know that I'm going to play it on here because I was testing it out before, and with my new fancy microphone, it wasn't working super properly, but I'll be sure to send out this PowerPoint after the presentation with the recording so that you guys can check them out if you'd like. First creator is Dr. Mike. If you recognize him, you might recognize him as the quote unquote hot doctor from a few years ago. And I'm not kidding. That was literally what the internet called him for a long time. And this was before he had any kind of internet presence really. But he wanted to jump into the kind of news game, media game with his expertise as a family medicine doctor in New York. So he created his own social media platforms, his own YouTube channel, where he has the mission of battling misinformation. So this is a creator who has a certain specialty. He's a doctor who makes content that is interesting for his viewers. So he makes medicine interesting. He makes going to the doctor and getting your yearly checkup interesting. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do, especially for people who have no interest in science. So he has found a way to amass 11 million subscribers on YouTube. And of course, we're talking pretty broad strokes here. So, but there are things that you can emulate from the way he does things. His videos are very clear. They're very well produced. He has his personality brought to the table, and that's a big thing, is the personality. You don't just want to sit in front of a camera and talk at the screen with a bland voice and not really give them anything. You want to bring your personality. You guys are salesmen. I know you have some personality out there. I've seen it. Bring your personality to your content. People want to know you on a more personal level. And that's what Dr. Mike has done. He's taken his specialty and he's been battling misinformation and the medicine game, and also trying to establish himself as an expert in the industry. So he's got a Facebook, he's got an Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, but he actually got his start on YouTube. I got a comment. Anyone with an audience that big is a full-time content creator and not a doctor. That's actually not true. He is actually a full-time doctor still. He does both. I don't know how he does both. He doesn't have a wife and kids. That's probably part of it, but he does both. He is a full-time doctor, family medicine doctor, still in New York, which is crazy to me. I've seen a couple of people do that. One other person that I've followed on social media, her name is Pocketful of Primary. She was a full-time teacher at the time that she was also doing her content. Obviously, their scale is a lot larger than what we're looking at here. You are not required to get on social media and become a content creator by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, they have some ideas here that you can emulate, and edutainment is the name of the game apparently for 2023, according to all the trend reports. Next, we have a silly one, because I wanted to include a silly one that is considered edutainment and is not really related to businesses, but it does make me laugh, and it's called Puppet History. There's nothing better than learning about history or things that have happened in the past with puppets. It's just silly, but it is entertaining. I never, ever would have watched something about an unkillable man who invented the saxophone unless you added a puppet to it and made it super entertaining. So just another show of how this actually works, how people grab attention with being a little bit more entertaining with things that are maybe not that interesting, i.e. health insurance. Next, I've talked about this a little bit before, but we have cinema therapy. Cinema therapy is a favorite of mine. Again, we do have a full-time content creator who is also a full-time therapist who does these videos. This is also, for any movie nerds out there, this is a really cool place to follow. They talk about movies in the scope of a filmmaker on one side and a therapist on the other. So the example that I have on the screen here, you see Johnny Depp as our favorite pirate, Jack Sparrow, if you've ever seen the movies. They talk about, in this specific video, they talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, why that's such a great movie, but they also talk about antisocial personality disorder and how Jack Sparrow has maybe some of the symptoms of that disorder. It's a really interesting way to bring together both cinema and therapy, and their whole mission statement is to make sense of life, one blockbuster at a time. Things that you otherwise maybe wouldn't learn about, but they put it into the context of something entertaining and therefore make it a lot more interesting. The bottom line is that these creators found a way to put their expertise and their entertainment at the forefront without sacrificing each other. Their content has personality, but it also has depth. Now, these creators are, like I said, very large in scale, but there's still plenty of insight that you can gain from how they navigate social media. And the things that stand out to me are the personality that they bring and the production value. Both of those things are as smaller agents or smaller businesses, those are still things that you can put focus into. Another great way to engage with your community through social media, if you're not looking to go the route of putting 1 billion hours into your content, not that you have to, you do not need to put 1 billion hours into it. You could try to build your social media presence through relationships with local micro-influencers. Micro-influencers have follower counts within the range of 10,000 to about 100,000 and are often within your own city or just kind of nearby. Believe it or not, there are plenty of content creators that are active with a large following just in Cincinnati, but even a search throughout Ohio will lead you to plenty of other creators that you can connect with. I actually have two right there on the screen. The first one is Maria in the Wild, and the second is Consistently Curious. They're both Cincinnati based, but of course this is not limited to just Cincinnati. Throughout Ohio, there are plenty of content creators specific to, Toledo, to Cleveland, to Columbus, especially Cleveland and Columbus. People have a lot of pride in their cities there, just like they do in Cincinnati. So you want to get familiar with your local content creators who may be interested in sharing your information. So this becomes less of a trying to put effort into your content and more how can I use social media to build community and to build relationships. So by doing that, you kind of have to start by playing the game. And you want to make sure that when you're playing the game that it's going to be, the collaboration is going to be beneficial for both parties. Say you want to share or comment on and like the posts of these creators that you're interested in collaborating with. And if you think you have an idea that would benefit both you and them, you can send them a direct message or a DM with your pitch. And it's important to note that that collaboration is going to come at a cost, which is going to vary from creator to creator based on their audience size and the sponsorships that they've already worked with other brands. However, consider that many content creators may get their health insurance on the marketplace because of the nature of their business. That is, if they're doing content creation full time. If that is the case, there may be a great opportunity for gaining a new client as well. And their paid or unpaid endorsement of your services based on their own experience. As a salesperson, you are all too familiar with this idea. If you like my services, tell a friend. Or in the case of a micro-influencers, tell between 10,000 and 100,000 of your friends. I will say, quick note, if you do charge for any services that you'd like to offer, be very wary of the creators who want to pay you with exposure. Exposure is never guaranteed, and you need to get paid for your efforts as you're offering your services to them. But this is a great way to get your name out there in the community that is entirely reliant on the service that you offer. Which, as a salesperson, you can go in pretty confidently that the service that you offer is premier, and that you will get a good review from them afterwards, and kind of negotiate from there. Kind of running out of a little bit of time here, so we are going to keep moving, and we're going to talk about your next steps. So hopefully, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat, because this is a good time to start answering those questions as well. Or if you have any comments on some things that I've said that we can have a discussion about, go ahead and leave those in the chat so I can take a look at them. But right now, we'll talk about your next steps. If you don't already have an updated brand, that's going to be your major key to your business's success on social media. You need a solid, relatable, and memorable brand. And I say that just about for everything because it's so important. So I would make sure that your logo is updated, your colors are consistent, and you have a pretty solid website presence before you move on to social media. You don't need a website that has, so many impressions per month, but you do need to have a solid presence so that if somebody does see that you have a website and they're interested in getting in contact with you, that they have somewhere cool to go. When it comes to actually choosing a platform, my advice has only slightly changed from what it's been in the past. Start with 1 or 2 platforms and do them really, really well. And then once you have those down, you can add others if you'd like. you'll notice that the content that you create for each platform can be slightly tweaked to fit another platform in its own way. You don't want to just like copy and paste your content from one site to another because every site's algorithm is different, like we talked about. However, you can easily tweak the content that you've already created on one platform to put on another. You can also start to establish your social media presence locally with the help of your current client base. Don't forget that you have an already fairly captive audience of people who trust in your services and already work with you. So if you're just looking to expand locally, then your current clients sharing your content is extremely valuable in that sense. Next, I would look into websites and platforms that will help you schedule your social media. And this is kind of how you make it that it's not a full-time job. Social media is complicated, it's nuanced, it does require that you put your eyes on it pretty frequently. But for me personally, when I'm doing Cornerstone social media, we're not doing like anything major on YouTube other than posting our recordings. But as far as on Facebook and LinkedIn, I just schedule those on Monday. I take about an hour to just go through, find the things that I want to schedule, and I go ahead and put them out there. And then I check in on them throughout the week if we got any comments or any likes or shares, whatever. And then I track our progress over the months to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. But other than that, it's usually just about an hour every week. I will say that if we did video production, it would probably obviously be a lot more. But that would also depend on the type of video that we're creating. In the past, we've tried things like doing a meet the team, and we ran into some issues, not with the actual video production portion of it, but with the idea that people don't like to be on camera very much. So it's difficult to find some employees who were willing to do that. But even that didn't take too much of our time. It was just, quickly sitting somebody down in front of a camera, answering some questions, and then getting it edited. Like I said, if you do want to do YouTube, you do need to have a desire or existing set of skills for video production and editing. It's easy to learn. There's plenty of places that you can learn that. I'm happy to do a webinar on that as well with the really, really simple platforms that I'll talk about, but it's really a lot easier than you might think. Those highly edited programs or those highly edited videos that you see from the edutainment creators that we just talked about, most of that is just equipment. And a lot of the editing is really, really excellent, of course. They got professional editors, but a lot of how it looks is just a matter of getting the right equipment. And to be honest with you, the iPhone has a very good camera. There's plenty of ways to make it work with just a ring light and a camera on your iPhone just to get started. But if that's something that's interesting to you, how to actually do video production and editing, things like that, let me know. I've done some in the past, but that was a while ago, and there are some other tools that we can talk about as well. So the platforms that I would recommend if you've never done social media before, I would say LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. Those are the easiest platforms to get to understand. They're very user-friendly. They provide great analytics right on their pages. And they give you a good idea of how well you can build community on social media. Very great starting point, especially with the content that we are releasing. If you do want to get into more like Instagram, YouTube, or Instagram, TikTok, things like that, that would require more time and more of a conversation and more content planning, things like that. But it is possible. It's possible to do all these things for sure. So with LinkedIn, if you want to start on LinkedIn, remember that you'll have more success as an employee benefits agent, like we talked about. And I would just start by posting a few times a week. I would post maybe some industry updates. They have opportunities for you to post some like white papers on that page. I would post a couple of videos. Videos, like I said, are the most viewed content right now. maybe post a couple of videos of you talking about different options for employee benefits health insurance. So maybe you talk about AMIWA and level funded and things like that, and just do a brief video on that, or do like a live Q&A so that the employers that you follow can ask you some questions. Facebook, just like with LinkedIn, you want to start by posting a few times per week. And the goal with this is to engage with your community and start your own community. So building community is the name of the game with Facebook. You want to have your place, your page be a place where people can go to find their information at any time. You want to start conversations in the comments. You want to do video. You want to do all those things. So Facebook is a really good start. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it could be a good start too. If you are interested in doing YouTube, it could be good to start posting your video content on Facebook to try to see how it goes, to try to get an idea of what you're capable of doing with the time that you have. Facebook is a great place to try that out. And YouTube. If you start with YouTube, you do want to give yourself some time to evolve on the platform. Video content can be tricky, but with the right editing, content, and posting consistency, your viewers can help you reach a wider audience. Now, we're not looking to reach audiences of 1 million viewers. We're not looking for 11 million subscribers like Dr. Mike. That's not really the scope that we're looking at. We're maybe looking towards a little under micro influencer into micro influencer. 10,000 to 100,000 is micro influencer. You just want to reach enough people that you are getting your leads in, because that's the name of the game, isn't it? That's the reason that you do marketing in the first place. You need your leads. And while social media is not sales focused, that is the end game. Engagement is ideally going to lead to traction with your services. So some equipment that I recommend for people who have never done any kind of video content before: Canva. I've spoken a lot about Canva in previous webinars. It's a great option for the health insurance agent who has to handle their marketing in-house by themselves. So I cannot recommend this enough. It's very cheap. I think it's $179 a year. And it allows for video editing and also has plenty of templates that you can use. And the templates are continually updated, which is great, because sometimes if you see videos with the same templates that you've seen on your Canva, it can be a little bit of an eye-opener of like, oh, maybe the quality is not that great. But they have constantly updated templates, so that's a huge perk of having Canva. And it does help you edit the content very, very easily, as opposed to going for something like an Adobe, oh gosh, what is it called? I just lost it, but any of the Adobe products, which are far more complicated for video editing. They're not impossible. They're actually quite easy once you get to know them, but Canva is obviously going to be way, way easier for you to get started with if you've never done this kind of thing before. And of course, like I've talked about in the past, it's also great for any kind of graphic design that you have to do by yourself. They have a lot of templates that you can use that are, as somebody in graphic design, they're very well designed. For the most part. Obviously, there are some creators out there who can sell their templates to Canva, but those aren't usually listed at the top of the templates. They're usually closer to the bottom. So highly recommend Canva, both for general marketing, but for getting started with video content as well and making it look good. If you want to go more of the way of trying to figure it out, if you're interested in video production and really jumping into it, Wondershare Filmora is a good option. It's super cheap as well, $79 total for lifetime plan. And while it can be a little bit tricky, it's eventually very easy once you get the hang of it. And you really just need to learn how to trim your videos, like take out the pieces that you don't want, add any intros and outros, the basics, and then obviously make the picture look good and high quality. So if that's something that you're interested in, Wondershare Filmora is a great start. And a lot of the picture quality things are automated as well. So they have automated buttons that are obviously, they're hit or miss because it's an automated system, but I use them quite a bit, and honestly, they do a decent job. And with YouTube, if you are intimidated by the process of video production, you can start with shorts. Shorts do not require as much editing or scripting or whatever, so it could be a good start for you to just pull up your phone just like you would for a TikTok and make a short. And you can do more higher quality, more produced content for shorts later, but it's a great option for those of you who are a little bit skittish to get involved with YouTube and the whole mumbo jumbo of creating a video. And one other thing that I will say if you're going to do video content is to try to script or outline your video first. Like I said, your audience is very, very skeptical these days. So you want to make sure that you are putting out factual information, that you have all the details down so that you don't miss anything. So scripting out your content is a great choice. So like I said, the platforms that I would recommend you start with are LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube is a little bit more involved, but it's definitely still worth it. But those are great for beginners. Find a platform to help you schedule those social media posts and try to do those couple of platforms really, really well. Put your focus on those instead of putting your focus on 5 different ones at a time. Some final thoughts. Please remember that creating a social media presence is not done overnight or even over a year. Once you've decided to include social media in your marketing strategy, it's going to take a long time to gain traction with an audience. Be patient and play the game. And more importantly, don't quit the game too early. It's one of the biggest mistakes that I see brokers make with their marketing, which is ending campaigns before you can actually see your results. Successful marketing is going to take time, especially on social media with things that are being so noisy and having to build up your place in the algorithm. It is complicated and it does take some time, but the longer that you're in the game, the easier it's going to be for you instead of having to completely restart every time you're interested in social media again. That was a ton of information. I'm going to leave it open a couple more minutes for some comments or questions. So if you have anything, please put them in the chat box. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And that's any questions as well, like about your specific situation, getting started with something. If you're struggling with something specific as far as your social media for your business is concerned, I'm happy to help you out right here as well. So give you a couple more minutes. If anybody has any interest in what I'm watching on Twitch right now, as far as games go, it's Legend of Zelda. I can't get enough of it. It's a real problem. I don't know if you guys have any friends or family members who are currently there with me, but it's a big issue. All right, it doesn't look like we have any questions. I'm always free to chit chat with you about your marketing strategy, any roadblocks that you're running into. I'm gonna go ahead and put my information there on the screen. Please get in contact with me if you have any questions. I'm here to help you out. That's one of the perks of being a Cornerstone broker. You have an in-house marketing expert to kind of give you some guidance and help you out with those big questions about marketing. You're never alone with this. I'm always happy to give you a hand. I think we have 2 more Build Your Brand webinars, if not 1 more, I'm not sure, for 2023. Oh, we do have 1 more question. Oh, this is a great question too. So if you want to learn about YouTube, stay on for a second. You mentioned Facebook posting frequency, and how about YouTube frequency? That is an awesome question. That is something that is, again, going to depend on your audience and on your content. But I would aim for, I think saying once a week at this point is probably fair, but I know you're a busy health insurance agent, you got stuff to do. So let's say once every 2 weeks is probably a good schedule. But if you're going to do once every 2 weeks, I would also say to sprinkle in some of those shorts throughout that time as well. So maybe do 2 shorts a week on top of on top of that, the shorts are, like I said, really quick. Just figure out what you want to talk about, turn on your camera, talk about it, and then upload it. So I would do that as well. But every other week is a good posting schedule for YouTube at this point. And from there, you can kind of gauge what your audience is watching, the views, and how those have changed based on your posting schedule as well. But great question. Great question. Like I was saying, the next Build Your Brand webinar is going to be about time management and productivity. I recently released a Monday Minute survey. If you guys have not taken that, you guys can win a nice gift card. We're choosing only one winner, but you will have the chance to win if you do respond to that survey and give me your ideas about what you want in the Monday Minute. One of the things I've gotten a lot of is productivity and time management. So we're going to be doing a little bit more of that, and we're gonna have that webinar coming up here in a couple of weeks. So be sure to register for that on the Cornerstone event calendar. Thank you all for joining today. I love chatting marketing, so if you guys have any questions, please let me know. And everyone, have a great day.